All right, let's play another game. So currently plus 11. Still, if I happen to win. So they're going e3. So then we had this earlier, and like I said, somebody goes e3. If you're not sure what to do, you could probably just go e6 and kind of copy, and you get away with it for a bit. I'm probably going to do that again just for the sake of it. If you don't know what to do in the opening, you can try to copy a few of their moves if they're making normal looking moves. Hello, Saki. There's the man. Saki for Taki, watching Snacky for Taki. Alright, here they're trying to attack on this diag. Do I need to do anything different? Probably not. I can just develop. Now, I don't want to do this. I think I want to bring out the knight first. Why? Because if they go here and here, this is fine. Here I could consider going g6, bishop g7, but why wouldn't I do that? Well, to be honest, yes, call it ambulance. Yes, the old profile picture. But why would I not go g6 here? Well, this weakens the dark squares around the king. If for some reason they get some pieces on this side of the board. So instead of g6 here, I think I prefer in this position to actually just go bishop e7. Where's my cookie? Mr. Sakanator, what's cracking, sir? So they're trying to go for a double fianchetto. Now I can immediately shut this down at the moment. Kind of. I could probably just go d5 or c6. And in fact, I might just go c6, which will support d5. Yeah, why not? Or maybe not, because then my bishop might not be great. You know what? I'm going to play this very slow. I'm going to go d5. So there we go. So Saki, these will I'll end up turning this kind of slow run series into YouTube videos. Yes, I did a few hours earlier today. And then won't be like heavily edited. Most likely just, chopping the games, removing random combos and stuff, but just for the sake of it, pretty much I'll do this up to about 2000, I think. And then I'll do the same thing for Blitz. What's the difference between 500 and 1500? A fair bit, Boozy, a fair bit. I'll have a look. I'll kind of get back to you after the game. Alright, so here they're actually finally developing a piece, but visually to me this looks so weakening. If I castle this way. I'm probably going to go here. I'm actually not sure which way I want to develop my bishop, because in some future, if I push this pawn, this could be pretty brutal. This could be pretty brutal too. I'm not going to go knight c6 yet, because they probably want to go bishop g5, but actually, I don't think that's good for them anyway. I'm going to simply go a6. A bit of a waiting move, just want to see what they're up to. It also does prevent some stuff. Okay, they're immediately trying to attack me. I'm not quite sure what their idea is. I don't actually have to go h6 here. It's not really that threatening, to be honest. I will likely just continue. They're not going to take this. I mean, like, queen can't come in because then I take. Okay. I will probably go b5, bishop b6. Bishop e7. Actually, maybe not. Might just continue developing, or c5. No, I think b6 myself. b6 or b5 is probably my move. I don't think I have to do anything about this. I actually would like to leave this knight there, because it's very likely they'll blunder it if they leave it there. So normally if they had more pieces, I would consider just going h6 right away, kicking this knight away. I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to go b5. That also prevents them from playing c4. Because if c4, I mean, they can play c4, but I don't think it's going to be good for them. Saki, I'm not sure if you know anything about editing, but yes, I'm probably just going to do very, very minor editing, and pretty much it's going to be like just cutting out stuff that's not necessary, but I don't think I'll do anything fancy. Nothing too fancy. Okay. Now they can't really play c4. Their knight is still in a pretty precarious position. I could probably just go bishop b6. Sorry, bishop b7. The only reason I'm not sure if I want to go bishop b7 yet is because I do want to reserve the right to potentially have it on this diag. I have so much space on the queen side here, I may just continue with it. I may go c5. And c5, something like d4, I would actually push. Why? Because then their bishop is not doing anything. So I'm actually going to go c5. And just visually look at this. Like, it's just such a beautiful control of space. I actually don't mind that position, but this knight is really weird. Okay. So I can't push because that blunders a rook, of course. So rook at this. Am I worried about them taking this way? No, I'm not. Maybe I'll just develop my bishop. If they take, I can take back with the pawn. And take away the bishop if I want to. That's actually not bad for them, to be honest. I don't mind their position. Could even go rook a7. I'm not going to do that. I think I'm just going to develop, not worry about it. Do I take once? I could take once, actually. After takes, I can go queen b6. What's the benefit of queen b6? Well, it attacks their bishop. And you know what? I think I'll do this. I think I will take once. This may be wrong, by the way. We'll see. And then I'm going to go queen b6, bishop d7. Bishop d7 is just to prevent the check if it comes. But I'm going to start with this. So now I'm going to apply some pressure to them. They can consider this, but I'm not sure if that's going to be any good. And then after bishop b7, this queen will also be guarding the bishop. So, okay, so they blundered a piece immediately. Here, rook b1 doesn't actually trap my queen. Queen a3. There's no knight b5. Sorry, yeah, no knight b5 here. So there. I'm just calculating if I can get out. I think I can. I'm not sure if this is a trick or a trap, so I'm kind of willing to risk it. I'm almost tempted not to take it just because I feel like people shouldn't do it if they can't calculate it. But I spent so much time just talking in the opening. This is such a weirdly placed piece. I'm going to take it. The thing is, if they try to trap it and you're wrong, getting at least a bishop and a rook for it is more than enough compensation. So many good moves. I'm likely just going to go here. No, I'm not going to go there. Then they can consider this. I'm going to go for this, honestly. All right. No, maybe threatening this. There's just so many good moves. Now I'm going to kick this, because if they go this way, it's not going to be good for them, because this is the only pressure I feel in the position. Okay, so they blundered a piece. So that's good for me. They actually blundered at least a piece. Why? Because after bishop d7, they actually have to move this. And now what's going to happen after they move this is I'm just going to take the knight. So it's a good idea to counterattack when you can, but not if counterattacking with something like a queen can then be, directly interfered by attacking the queen. Because now they are forced to move the queen if they don't want to give the queen up. Maybe they can counterattack my queen, but then I take with check. After takes, I take the queen. So this is essentially cooked like a little goose at this stage. Okay. Still not wonderful. I will just take the queen because I'm going to be up at least a piece. Okay. I don't see anything better. It's always good to double check anyway, but I do not see anything better than taking a free piece. Cooked fully like a goose, man. Straight cooked. Okay. Have to be careful of this rook. I can at least trade one piece. Sorry, one thing here. After all these trades happen, this guy will be attacking c5, but the bishop's still there, so I actually don't have to take this. I could also go like this too, but for the sake of simplifying, I think I will take this. It might not be the best move. Oh, I did blunder, didn't I? I kind of half blundered because I kind of forgot about something. No, I didn't. What am I talking about? It's all good. For some reason in my head, this knight was checking me, but I realized my whole idea was just to take this. And then after this, I am not concerned about the fact that this is hanging, because I will simply move it. And then if for some reason they go here attacking this, I'll just do something. Okay, so they missed that this is a hanging rook. This does sometimes happen. People make a blunder, they kind of proceed to make a few more. And now, kind of like what I explained in an earlier one, super winning. I have a whole bunch of pieces that can kind of do stuff. What am I still going to do? I might still just castle. Why? Because I don't want to give them any chances. Although in this case, it makes sense just to attack their rook first, because they have to move the rook, and then I will castle. No need to risk it. After I castle, this rook is chilling, and this knight is safe, protected. If one of these rooks ends up on the back rank, they're just getting mated, pretty much. So I will eat my cookie, and then I will win this game, most likely. I don't want to be overly confident, but it's very likely I will be winning this game. They're attacking my bishop. I will move it. no problem. Just defend this knight again. Yes, that is not an issue, and in fact, I can actually just go something like this. This is more something that requires calculation, I guess, but I'm very well aware of the fact that if I have to rook c7, rook d6, rook c1, this is just a checkmate. So I will do this. Now they pretty much have to go back or move one of these pawns. If they move a pawn, whatever. I'll figure it out. Okay, so they just blundered the checkmate. All right, good game. That's a tactic. Bit of a tactic. So pretty much to answer your question though, Boozy, the difference between a 500 and a 1500 is quite a lot. So a 1500 player knows more tactics than a 500. A 1500 player can sense when a position is more funky than a 500. 1500 is going to be faster. Pretty much just every aspect of the game is going to be a fair bit better. And the pattern recognition naturally will be better in a 1500. Pretty much. Like, hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, I could have just probably said that before, but yes, all aspects will be better with a 1500. But if you're talking about something like the difference between like a 1500 and 1600, it's not as big of a gap, but slightly better, slightly faster, slightly more tactical, slightly more positional, just every aspect, but slightly. But the gap between 1000 elos is a lot. So I might be like, a strong-ish player in some ways, but like the difference between me and like a 3200 player is also astronomical. Huge gap between 500, 600, 800, 1000 elos. Massive, massive gap. Just the full understanding of the game is massively different. All right, let's have a look at this game here for a second. So yes, similar opening to what I played against earlier. And here, I explained most of this during the game. I probably won't go over this too much here. Yes, knight g5 immediately not a great move because they've already moved this knight. They've already weakened some of these squares. They may as well just kind of continue with what they were doing. Simply just developing and castling. Maybe I would go here afterwards. I'm not sure. Maybe here, just developing one of these pieces. Any of them are probably good options. c4, I actually wouldn't take this. I just go c6 because taking it for me would only just weaken this potentially. Knight c3, castles, something more normal. But they chose violence immediately, and they, yes, just straight away went knight b5. Sorry, knight g5. And in this case, honestly, it's a waste of a move, but it also leaves me with a target, which they did end up losing because of it. One of the reasons they lost. So Boozy, yes, a 1500 would likely be able to calculate, a decent chunk more than a 500. But even without calculations, if we were forced to move, one move at a time and not think, past like 2 moves, a 1500 would still have a greater pattern recognition and an understanding of the board to know what are more logical moves in a position, if that makes sense, even without like deep calculations. Because like not all strong players think more than 2 or 3 moves down the line. They just think of like what move is weakening, what move is, what piece belongs on what squares, etc. I can't speak for ratings, higher than me, but that's my understanding of my rating and below. I'm not always thinking, like a lot of the times I'm moving instinctively and I'm not calculating. But a 1500 also knows a lot in a lot of positions when they should or shouldn't calculate more than a 500. Anyway, this move here, just a waste of a developing move. You don't want to waste too many moves in the opening. c5 just taking space. Here I took this because I figured there's no harm in taking one of these pawns. Definitely cannot take it like this. Got to do your blunder checks as I keep mentioning. Be hanging a rook. Take once. Queen b6. Wasn't sure if this was the best move, but I thought 50-50 the way they were kind of moving other stuff. Maybe I'd snag a bishop, and that did happen. Apparently that's a brilliant. Why, I'm not sure. The thing is, after this, maybe it does get trapped, actually. No, I don't think it does. Wait, what's the best move? Oh, they just take. Okay. I guess after this, something like this. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. After takes, but then take. Takes. Still winning for black, I thought, right? I'm not sure. All right, still tricky if they played some crazy moves. But all right, after I take and they go... By the way, if they go here as well, it's even if I decide not to save the queen, this will be losing for me, but not as bad as people might think. It'll be probably bad because of the fact they still have this sniper over there, but bishop and a rook for a queen is not a bad trade all the time. Alright, so here they just did this. Kick the knight, not strictly necessary. You can see the computer is like, what are you doing? It's not necessary. Just wants to get the queen out of there, I think. But yes, this is the main blunder of the game. They thought, I'm attacking the knight. They wanted to attack me back. So they thought they'd give a check. However, not all checks are obviously created equal. And when they give a check, unfortunately, it runs straight into an attack. A defensive attack, you know? Active defense is usually quite strong. So here, being actively defensive, attacking whilst I'm defending, forces them to move back. See, if this was a bishop, they would just take, and then after take, they could move the knight. But unfortunately, it's a super strong piece. They don't want to trade this for my bishop. And when they do that, it just loses a full piece. And this as well, not the best move. If you're going to lose material, do not trade down even further. So going all the way back, as sad as it is the best move, because you don't want to be down. You don't want to have queens off the board when you're already down a piece. So there, oopsies, I just take. Yes, and once it's taken, it is essentially gone, my friendos, gone. Just trade down. So I'm so happy to trade down. I'm up a full rook, basically, like in material. I mean, it's, 5 points of material, the equivalent of a rook. They're just defending, and actually, yes, probably bishop c6 makes more sense because it forces the trade because of this rook. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, simplify, they blundered a rook, unfortunately, and then here they just, once again, blundered a tactic. Clean up crew on IL5.